It was a typical afternoon at a bustling McDonald's, the sound of the fryers sizzling and the chatter of customers filling the air. A small family sat in the corner booth, laughing and enjoying their meal. Everything seemed normal, until a sudden piercing cry for help cut through the noise. Clint Eastwood, who had been sitting at the counter quietly enjoying a cup of coffee, immediately turned his head. His sharp instincts kicked in, and his gaze swept across the room to locate the source of the cry. The sound had come from a little girl no older than 6 who was standing at the counter, her face streaked with tears. She was clutching a teddy bear tightly to her chest, her small hands trembling with fear. The girl's eyes were wide, and she was frantically looking around the restaurant as if searching for someone, anyone, to help her. Her cries were desperate, filled with the kind of helplessness that tore at the heart. Clint's heart sank. He had seen his fair share of emotional moments throughout his life, but something about the girl's distress pulled at him in a way he couldn't ignore. Without a second thought, he stood up and walked toward her. The girl, clearly scared, and alone, hadn't noticed him approaching. But as Clint gently knelt beside her, his calm presence seemed to settle the storm of fear in her eyes. "Hey there," Clint said softly, his voice quiet and kind, yet filled with an undeniable warmth. "What's going on? Are you all right?" The little girl looked up at him, her tears still flowing. She opened her mouth to speak, but the words caught in her throat. Clint smiled gently, trying to ease her fears. "It's okay," he said, his voice soothing. "You don't have to say anything if you're not ready, but I'll be right here with you, okay?" The girl, looking up at him with a mix of confusion and hope, nodded slowly. She finally spoke, her voice shaky. I can't find my mommy," she whispered, her small body trembling. "She was just here, but now she's gone." Clint's heart ached as the little girl spoke, her voice so small and vulnerable. He could see the fear in her eyes, the confusion of a child who had lost sight of her mother in a crowded place. Clint knew that feeling all too well, the panic of being alone, of not knowing where your loved ones are. He placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, his touch gentle. "Don't worry, sweetheart," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. "We'll find your mom. She's probably just nearby, looking for you too." The girl's tear-filled eyes seemed to take a small bit of comfort from his words, but the worry was still there, hiding just beneath the surface. Clint stood up and scanned the restaurant. The place was packed with families and customers, but there was no sign of the little girl's mother. He didn't want to make a scene, but he also knew he couldn't just wait around. He walked over to the counter where the employees were busy preparing orders. "Excuse me?" Clint said, his voice calm but urgent. "A little girl here has lost her mother. I need you to make an announcement, please. Let everyone know that she's looking for her mom." The staff members looked up, momentarily startled, but quickly nodded. One of the employees grabbed the microphone and made the announcement over the loudspeakers, asking anyone who might have seen the mother of the young girl to come forward. Clint returned to the girl, who was still standing by the booth, clutching her teddy bear, her body shaking. "I promise you we'll find her," Clint said softly, kneeling down once more. "Your mom is just around here somewhere. You're not alone." The girl nodded, wiping her eyes with the sleeve of her shirt, her lip trembling. But Clint could see the relief in her eyes. She was starting to believe him. The minutes felt like hours as Clint stood beside the little girl, his eyes scanning the room. He could tell she was trying to stay brave, trying to hold it together, but the fear was still there, lurking beneath the surface. As the restaurant buzzed with the noise of customers and the faint hum of the radio, Clint focused on the little girl, offering silent support. He could hear the occasional announcement over the loudspeaker, but no one had come forward yet. Clint knew that the mother had to be nearby, probably just as worried and frantic as her daughter. His instincts kicked in, and he decided it was time to take action. "Hey, kiddo," he said, his voice warm and soft. "I'm going to go find your mom. Stay here with the nice people, okay? I'll be right back." The little girl nodded, hesitantly, clutching her teddy bear tighter. "Okay," she whispered, her voice fragile but trusting. Clint smiled gently at her and turned toward the door, walking out into the parking lot to see if there was any sign of the mother. He knew time was of the essence, but his experience told him to keep calm and methodical. He walked around the corner of the restaurant, scanning the area. It wasn't long before he spotted a woman pacing near her car, looking frantic and on the verge of tears. Clint's heart gave a tug. There was no mistaking it. This had to be the girl's mother. He approached her slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Excuse me, ma'am," Clint called gently, keeping his voice calm. "Are you looking for your daughter?" The woman turned toward him, her face pale and filled with panic. "Yes, I've lost her. I've been looking all over," she said, her voice breaking. Clint held up a hand, reassuring her. "She's fine. She's inside. We're taking care of her. Come with me, I'll take you to her." The relief on the woman's face was instant. Without saying another word, she followed Clint back into the restaurant, her eyes wide with worry and hope. Clint led her straight to the booth where the little girl was sitting, her eyes lighting up the moment she saw her mother. The woman rushed over, her arms open wide, and the little girl immediately ran to her, burying her face in her mother's chest. Clint stepped back, allowing them their moment, his heart swelling with quiet satisfaction. The mother looked up at him, her face filled with gratitude. "Thank you," she said, her voice shaky with emotion. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Clint smiled gently, his eyes soft. "It's nothing. Just making sure everyone gets the help they need." The mother and daughter shared a quiet moment, holding each other tightly as the weight of the situation slowly began to ease. Clint stood back, giving them the space they needed, but he could see the gratitude in the woman's eyes, the relief that her daughter was safe. It wasn't about the recognition or thanks. It was about knowing that in a small but significant way, he had helped make a difference. After a moment, the mother looked up at Clint, her eyes filled with unshed tears. "You have no idea how much this means to me," she said, her voice soft but full of emotion. Clint nodded, his expression gentle. "It's what anyone should do. Sometimes all it takes is being there for someone when they need it most." The woman smiled, her eyes brimming with tears of relief. "I'm just so glad you were here. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't found her." Clint's smile was warm but brief. He wasn't looking for accolades, just a moment of peace knowing that everything was going to be okay. "It's all good," he said, giving her a reassuring nod. "She's a tough one." The little girl, still in her mother's arms, looked up at Clint with wide eyes. "Thank you, mister," she said, her voice small but filled with sincerity. Clint crouched down to her level, offering a soft smile. "You're welcome, sweetheart. You're a brave one, too." The girl smiled back, her face lighting up with a joy that only a child's innocence could bring. The atmosphere in the restaurant had returned to normal, but for Clint, it was a reminder of how even the smallest acts of kindness could change the course of someone's day. As he stood to leave, the mother reached out to shake his hand, her grip firm with gratitude. "Thank you again," she said, her voice full of appreciation. "You're a good man." Clint smiled, tipping his hat slightly. "Just doing what's right," he said simply. With that, Clint turned and walked toward the door, the sound of the family's laughter following him out into the night. As he stepped into the cool evening air, he felt a quiet satisfaction, a sense of peace that only came from knowing he had made a difference, even in a small, unnoticed way. Please subscribe channel for Clint Eastwood. Respect. Thanks.